I wanted to do a ghost story video. I chose to do it this week because this is the time of year when everyone is interested in the paranormal. The paranormal programs are on this week, and that's because, of course, this week is Halloween week. Now, I personally do not celebrate Halloween. If and you're going to say that's odd, you're into ghosts, but you don't celebrate Halloween. No, I'm not a Halloween celebrator. If you want to know why, if you don't want to know why, how that contradiction, how I play out that contradiction, make a comment below. If I get enough requests, I'll make a video explaining why I'm interested in ghosts, but I don't celebrate Halloween. That's another video in and of itself. But I am interested in the paranormal. I have been for many years. I'm a big fan of Lorraine Warren, and I'm a viewer of Paranormal State, big fan of them. So uh, that's a program on A&E channel. Uh, I have some ghost stories, specifically uh, nothing really, not that much, believe it or not, ever happened to me in New England when I lived in New England. Oh, except there was a time when I lived in New England when I was a young woman that I dabbled in the occult. And some things happened back then that were not nice and were not pleasant, such as every time I blew dry my hair, I would hear women screaming. So that's kind of part of another video if I would make a why I don't celebrate Halloween video, but I'm not going to get into that too much. But when I moved up here to Pennsylvania, that's when I had more paranormal experiences myself. When we first moved here, we rented a carriage house in a neighboring town, and my children actually had a lot more experiences there than I did, though I always had a dreaded feeling, a foreboding, a depression, but I could have been also related to the fact that I had just moved from New Hampshire where I had lived for 43 years. So that definitely tied into it. But such as one small thing I can mention is that my children were always saying, "Did you call us? Did you call us?" And I'd say, "No, I didn't call you." And they'd hear my voice saying, "Children, come down." And it wasn't me. That happened quite frequently. The house was old. It had a lot of mold in it. It wasn't a good fit for us. There was no place for storage for us. And when the mice moved in, it was time for us to move out. I ended up exterminating myself with various mouse traps, an entire family of mice, minus the mother. And uh, I've heard that infestation of mice is a sign of a demonic presence. So I don't know if there was a demonic presence there or not, but there was some kind of presence there, and it wasn't all happy and fun. So when the mice moved in, we moved out, and we found this townhouse. It's in a neighboring town, and this is actually where we've had the most paranormal experiences. One in particular I'm going to relate to you today. A few years ago, uh, my sons were a little bit younger. I think my oldest was about 12 or 13. We have three bedrooms. There's an upstairs and a downstairs in this house. And upstairs, there's three bedrooms. And in one of the bedrooms, there's a closet that leads to the attic. And in that closet, in the ceiling, there's a trap door, a little square door. And if you would want to or need to go into the attic, you would have to climb a ladder, hoist yourself through that trap door to go into the attic, which is not something that I'm physically capable of doing. But we don't really use the attic. We can't store in the attic because of that fact, and it's all beams. There's no floor up there. But one day, a few years ago, my sons were in that room, and there's a cabinet with louvered doors in that room, and there was an Xbox in that cabinet. And one of my sons was playing Xbox, and many times, I don't know if you have this experience, but with the boys, when they play Xbox, one will play and the others will watch. So one was playing and the others were watching. And my oldest son came downstairs and he was white. And he said to me, Mama, there's a man in the attic. And I said, What do you mean there's a man in the attic? You're crazy. There's no man in the attic. So I proceeded to go upstairs and investigate what he was talking about. I went in the room and I looked, the closet doors were open. I looked up and I saw a man peering out of that trap door in the attic looking down at me. And all I remember, the most thing I remember about him was that he was white. He wasn't like flesh colored. He wasn't like a solid, kind of grayish white looking. So I started to scream and yell at him and tell him that, get out of my house, get out of my attic. And he proceeded to grab the little trap door, pulled it over, closed it, and walked away. And I freaking out. I was definitely freaking out. I went to neighbors trying to figure out if someone can pass from one townhouse to the other. There's 4 in a unit. They're side by side. They're not up and down, they're side by side. Talked to some neighbors. They all said no. There's a firewall in between. A few years later, the landlord put the house up for sale and we did buy it, so it had to be inspected. And when the inspector came, I said, could you please look in the attic and tell me if you think someone could pass from one side to the other? Because we did have a family at the time living near us that other teenage boys, and I thought, well, maybe it was them. Well, he passed through and he said, no, there's the firewall is solid. There's no way anyone could pass from attic to attic, from house to house that way. So this property that we live on used to be it used to be a farm. So it's quite possible someone passed and they didn't know they passed or they're hanging around for some reason. So that's my ghost story for today. I hope you have a good day and I'll talk to you again soon. And let me know if you want to know why I don't celebrate Halloween. Thanks.